There's something about a fire that slows a man down. Maybe it's the sound of wood crackling, or the way the flames move without any hurry at all. You sit there long enough, and the world starts to quiet down. Your phone stops mattering, your worries shrink a little, and the thoughts you've been pushing away finally show up. That's the thing about a campfire. It doesn't rush you, but it makes you honest. And tonight, sitting here listening to these logs burning and the birds whistling in the evening, I was thinking about a lesson most people learn far too late. It's a simple lesson, but it costs people decades to understand. Sometimes it costs their health, sometimes their happiness, sometimes even the time they should have spent with people they love. The lesson is this: most of the things we spend our lives chasing don't matter nearly as much as we think they do. Now, I didn't always believe that. Like a lot of people, I spent a big part of my life believing that success meant staying busy, working hard, climbing higher, taking on more responsibility, more pressure, more hours, more stress. And when you're younger, it feels like the right thing to do. You convince yourself that all the days long and long nights are building something important. You tell yourself that someday all the sacrifice will pay off. Someday you'll slow down. Someday you'll relax. Someday you'll enjoy the life you worked so hard to build. But someday is a tricky word because someday has a habit of moving further away every year. Another promotion, another project, another responsibility, another reason to keep pushing. And before you know it, decades have slipped past. One day, you wake up and you realize something that hits harder than you expected. The years you thought you were saving for were the years you were actually living. You don't get them back. That's why a place like this matters. A quiet fire, a little bit of nature, no schedule, no deadlines, just the sound of wood burning and the birds in the distance. Moments like this remind you of something we all forget. Life was never meant to be lived at full speed all the time. Human beings didn't evolve staring at screens and rushing through traffic and filling every hour of every day. For most of history, life looked a lot more like this: a fire, a quiet evening, stories being told slowly, people sitting together, thinking, listening, just being. When you sit by a fire long enough, you start to understand something. The best parts of life are usually the simplest ones. A quiet morning walk, a fishing line in the water, coffee outside before the world wakes up, a dog walking beside you down a dirt path. None of those moments show up on a resume. They don't impress anybody. But they're the ones you remember, the ones that actually make life feel full. I once heard an old man say something that struck me. He said most men spend the first half of their life chasing things, and the second half realizing they never needed most of them. At the time, I didn't fully understand what he meant, but sitting here tonight, watching this fire burn down to coals, I think I do now. Because the truth is, the fire teaches the same lesson every time. Everything burns down eventually: careers, stress, deadlines, even the things that once felt so important. They fade, they pass, they turn into memories. And what remains at the moments, the quiet moments, the simple moments, the ones where you are actually present, That's why more people are starting to walk away from the noise. They're fishing more, camping more, spending time outside again. Not because they're trying to escape life, but because they're trying to remember how to live it. And maybe that's the real lesson of the campfire. It reminds you that slowing down isn't wasting time. Sometimes it's the only way to make sure time doesn't slip past you unnoticed. So if you're listening to this tonight, maybe sitting somewhere quiet, maybe just letting the fire burn in the background, take a minute and ask yourself something simple. When was the last time you were truly slowed down? Not because you had to, but because you chose to. When was the last time you watched the sunset without rushing somewhere else? Or sat outside long enough to hear the birds settle in for the night? Those small moments may not feel like much in the moment, but they add up. And someday, when the years are behind you, they might be the memories you're most grateful for. So tonight, wherever you are, take a breath. Listen to the fire. Listen to the quiet. And remember something we all forget from time to time. Life isn't just the big milestones. It's the small, peaceful moments in between them. And sometimes the most important thing a person can do is simply sit beside a fire and let the world slow down for a little while.